go again. Right. Morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Do I need the microphone? In fact, I think Paul's got it. Thank you. Is it on? Hello?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Good morning, everybody. It's great to see everybody in the room and also everybody online as well. I hope you can all hear me. You don't necessarily really need to see me. The hearing is perhaps a little bit more important. So my name's Sarah Davidson, and this session is all about you and what we want to do with the BIM Academic Forum, how we see it moving forward. So I'm not going to be talking all that much. It is all going to be about your engagement. So there are quite a lot of questions that we're going to be asking you. I think the first thing that I would say before I sort of go into my spiel a little bit about me is that those questions, we're going to use Slido. I think Jason trialed it at the beginning, seems to work. Please, there's a question at the end where we ask about, would you like to be more active in the management of the BIM Academic Forum or in supporting the activities? And I think if that is something that is in your mind, I'd just ask you to log out of Slido, log in again, and make sure that you confirm your name so that we can follow up with you. Is that okay? If you don't want to do that, that's absolutely fine. There are always opportunities to come forward to get engaged. So this is not your only opportunity, but this is just a good opportunity to start thinking about how we do move the BIM Academic Forum forward, what we do, and who really helps drive that. Everybody got Slido, everybody got logged in and everything. Okay. So my name's Sarah Davidson. I'm a professor at the University of Nottingham. This is a little bit about me. I was just thinking about this as I was sitting down. So I'm a really new academic. I'm very old, but a really new academic. So I didn't join academia until 2018. And I'm not sure if that was a midlife crisis. A motorbike would have been easier. But I can remember thinking, I can actually remember working with lots of people in this room and thinking, I really would like to get into academia. I worked for Gleeds for 11 years, and prior to that, I'd had about 15 years in industry, so a very long time. And I was exhausted, and I thought, I want an easier life. How naive was I? Anyway, I came into academia having worked at Gleeds as their head of research and development, and I was a QS. So I have no, my expertise is all around how we deal with information from a cost management perspective. And I was an on-the-ground QS for a very long time, and then at Gleeds, I really started to think, okay, I could see in this huge organization that there was a real, there were areas of inefficiency around process. There was lots of risk being involved because of those inefficiencies. And we had no reliable information about construction projects. And yet we worked on, as a global organization, we worked on at least 2,000 projects every single year. And we had very little information about them. I know that we worked on that many projects because one of the things that I did quite early on was to put in a system in place where we could actually track all of those projects. But that's where my interest in information management started. And I sort of got into this world of BIM and it was the UK BIM Alliance before it was NEMA, and also the BIM 4 groups for the RICS. So I got into this world very accidentally. Just because of the work that I was doing in Gleeds that actually led to lots of information modeling around construction costs. So instead of starting from scratch every time, we built up data collection systems, and we built up systems that would allow us to model costs. And I suppose it was way ahead of its time, but that really got me engaged in thinking about information management in the broader spectrum. So I came to the University of Nottingham. I teach across all programs, so undergraduate, postgraduate, apprenticeship programs, and I teach around information management and quantity cost management and project management. I'm a UK representative for the ISO 19650 revision. So if you have read the documents that are currently out for draft, I would really encourage you to provide your comments on them. Now is the time to drive change on those standards. They're international standards, so we are one voice amongst many, but it's so important that we have your comments back on those standards. So there's a lot of work going on. You'll realise that there are some things that are really embedded in the standards, some things that look like they could change, but nothing yet is cast in stone because this is a draft consultation process that we're in. I'm also the project lead for the development of the guidance around the ISO 19650 series of standards that was first launched in 2019. And I'm really pleased to say that if you are teaching anything around health and safety, that the guidance supporting ISO 19650 Part 6, that's going to be launched over the next month. I'm really hopeful. It's a bit of complicated work, I must say. It's difficult to get your head around, and so the guidance is needed, I think. But I work with colleagues, so I work with people from not just across the UK, but from in various parts of the world in developing that guidance. And it's a really big project. You know, we've been working on it for 7 years now, moved it all online. It's a significant body of work. It'll all have to get changed, of course, when the new standards come out, but there we go. I contribute to various standards. So I just mentioned, we were just talking about PAS 1958. If you've not seen PAS 1958, which is a standard that joins up all of the standards around information management for the built environment, it's amazing. So the other day, I was debating all the comments on 19650. What's the difference between an exchange information requirement, an exchange requirement, an information requirement? And I just could not get to the bottom of it. Went to PAS 1958, all around the level of information. Gave me the answer straight away. And so I would really encourage you and encourage you to encourage your students to look at PAS 1958. It's a really amazing piece of work. I also work, I'm involved in standards that look at a whole life design and construction for operation and so on. And I work for UCAS as one of their technical experts. There are only a couple of us. So we go around the bodies such as BRE and BSI and just audit them every year to make sure that they're implementing the standards properly. So that's all about me, but that really is enough of me. This is your forum, our forum. We need to decide what it looks like, what its identity is, how it moves forward. So it's been the BIM Academic Forum for how long?
Since 2011.
Since 2011. Okay, so 15 years now. And things have changed over that time. So we need to debate what our identity is. We need to think about how we structure whatever it is. We need to think about how often we meet, how we meet, what we do at those meetings, and what our outputs are, how we can measure success. And of course, all of that means that we've got to have a body of people who are working really hard to push forward the research, to push forward the outputs, to manage the conference and so on. So we're going to be just running through a series of questions. I have no idea how long this is going to take. It'll finish when it finishes. It depends on your enthusiasm. So this is definitely a point where we don't want you sitting there being all quiet, because then it means that we're just going to keep it. So there's a motivation, I think, to really engage in the process. So the way it's going to work, I'm going to do a little bit of talking, present some context for questions. The questions are magically going to appear. Are they going to appear on screen? Maybe, we'll see. Or the results will, I don't know. And then we'll talk about the results. It's a little bit free-flowing because we don't know how you are going to answer. So we might find we move away a little bit. We're just going to see how it goes. We're quite relaxed about this, I hope. If there's anything that's not clear at any point, just give me a shout out. I always say to the students that I'm with, you know, I think things that I've done are really brilliant until you look at it from their perspective and things just don't quite make sense. So I'm quite open to any questions around really what are you on about that. So we're going to start off thinking about what we call us. Does the identity of the BIM Academic Forum, does it still do what we want it to do? Does it still tell the world what we're all about? So Paul put this up on screen earlier. What's the mission statement for us? So it's uniting training and education providers to advance information management education. We want to foster collaboration. We want to foster open resource sharing and research so that we can strengthen pedagogy around information management, not just for one particular identity of profession or for one particular phase of an asset's whole life, but for the whole life of an asset and for all professions that operate for that asset. We want to make sure that we've got clear educational pathways for learners at every stage. And we're going to do this through our localized upskilling networks. And we are going to get closer to communities, and we're going to help ensure that learners shape the future of the information management discipline. So that's what we're all about. Now, one thing that might be in your mind is initially, well, do we drop the reference to BIM, building information management, building information modeling, better information management, whatever you want to call it? So public consensus seems to be moving away from BIM. I'm just going to ask a little bit, a question that's come into my mind. This is not all about ISO 19650, but I will just ask you a question. How many times does ISO 19650 Part 2 mention building information modeling? Pardon?
Say very few.
Very few. 18 times. Mentioned it once.
Once.
Well, it does mention it in things like the foreword and all of that, but actually within the body of the standard, it mentions it once. And I'm wrong. I'm actually wrong about that because it's in the title. But there's no definition. There's no definition for building information modeling or for building information management. Actually, what ISO 19650 Part 2 talks about is information models. And that's so that we get the message across, that it's about how you present or how you collate and exchange information at certain times so that decisions can be made, blah, blah, blah. So is there a reason to drop the reference to BIM? Is it only seen as being relevant to design and construction? I'll let you think about that. On the other hand, what are the reasons to keep BIM? It's been around for so long. I mean, I can remember, I mean, there must be people who have been doing BIM for 60 or 70 years, I reckon. Maybe. Actually, there was the guy who, and I've forgotten his name now just because I am quite old and do forget things, but the guy who was behind much of the early modelling, augmenting human intelligence. Does that ring a bell to anybody? So I think he authored that in the very early 1960s. And his vision was for what we understand as geometrical modelling today. So it has been around for a long time. Anyway, it's been around long enough. It's something that's recognised across the world as meaning something. And maybe across the rest of the world, the hang-ups about BIM, if they do exist, maybe they don't exist across the world. So there are fors and againsts for keeping the reference to BIM in the identity of whatever we are. There are some ideas that have been put forward. The first one, the one that requires the least effort, is just staying as we are. So do we keep the name because people know it? The challenge with that, is it representative of that mission statement that is around information management? I suppose it's around digital transformation, isn't it? Do we drop the B? Because then we have this focus on information management. But actually, is that too broad? Is it too generic? Does it not speak specifically to what we are? Could we adopt an identity of the NEMA Academic Forum? Do we want to be that close to NEMA? Or is being that close really, really beneficial? Do we align with the Information Management Initiative Framework? So we could become the IMI Academic Forum. Aligns with the UK government strategy. It doesn't have a UK it doesn't have a UK identity, so it means that we can easily be international. But then, having said that, so do all of the other ones. Or do you have other ideas? And it might be that your ideas are, well, we don't need to be a forum. We could be something else. We don't need to have the word academic in there. It could be something else. We've talked about apprenticeships this morning, so maybe we develop to talk about competencies, for instance. I don't know. So now's the time for you to have a think about where we move forward in terms of identity. So we're going to ask 2 questions, but we're going to do them separately. So the first question is going to be around your support or not for these few possible identities. So if you think that one of those speaks to you and will speak to others about what we want to be, then please select that one. If you think that actually none of those work for me at all, whether it's that you don't like the word BIM, or you don't like the word academic, or you don't like the word forum, then select none. So if we can do that, so that's the first question that's going to come up, maybe.
Also, Sarah, if I
Yeah.
could say, if anybody wants to say anything in support of, or in opposition to any of the suggestions or anything, this is an interactive, and hopefully this is the one and only time we discuss naming conventions and get this done, and it's done forever. Yeah. So now's the time. If you feel strongly in one way or another.
What I will say in just a second, what I will say is there is a second question that's going to come up that's going to say, what do you think we should be called? If these don't quite work for you, so you might have, we tend to see things from different perspectives, sit on the fence a little bit. You might think, actually, one of these is fine. But you might also be thinking, but I would prefer that we are called this. So if you think that one of these is fine, then select it. And then there's going to be, we'll look at where we get to. And then what we're going to do is do a question around, well, what would you call it? Forgetting all of this stuff. And we can see where we get the discussion. So I don't know what's happening now.
Now we're under pressure, aren't we?
We are under pressure. Yeah. Can you, using that Slido login, can you see the question, the first question? Yeah. Amazing. Good. Yes. Yes, question.
I don't think we should.
It's being shared.
It's not showing, Paul. Yeah. Yeah, try again.
Is it because we've still got the presenter view on that one?
Sure. There you go. Yeah, yeah, won't show.
Adonis, you're comment?
Yeah, sorry.
Always there is a question on what we might be in. There's always different answers. Is it a technology? Is it a process? Or is it a new business model? And I think over time it is a genius technology started with this, and people get impressed because of its significant impact. We started to rethink information management and rethink everything. and we got probably over-influencing and started to exaggerate the use of BIM, put it in everywhere, as if we are just doing BIM, which is probably too much, because at the end, we are not implementing BIM, we are not practicing BIM, we are designing, we are constructing, we are managing information, and BIM is just an enabler, a fantastic tool. And I think, yeah, the word BIM, the term itself is building information modeling, clearly about embedding information into models. And over time, this will be used in different activities. So at the end, so I hear a lot of people mentioning, referring to ISO 90 as BIM standards, and this is wrong. It is information management standards, or at least you can say BIM enabled information management standards, not BIM standard or BIM standard meaningless. So changing the BIM from being just an enabling tool or method to the main thing. So even though BIM Academic Forum is very clear to everyone, but we are spreading this mistake. I heard someone saying the BIM industry, for example. I didn't know what is the BIM industry, what does that mean? So I think we should, even if it is the most clear, everyone will know what it is about, but we shouldn't participate in this misunderstanding and this word that is not, it doesn't explain what BIM is all about. So I would clearly many people started to respond to this, focusing on digital construction or digital design. And even the word digital construction is also another problem, because digital, the term loses its meaning when it becomes the norm. So if everything is already digital, so why are you calling digital? It's not digital construction, simply it is construction. And digital is the norm, we use digital tools. So if I answer only the last question, I would go link it to the history, go with something like construction 4.0 or construction 4.5, or probably BIM and construction 4.0. Something that reminds us in which stage of history we are, starting from the Industrial Revolution to Industry 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, in which generation we are. So probably we can focus on this kind of.
Shall we? Thank you. That's really valid comments, observations. I think we share quite a lot of thoughts there. I'm just going to, Paul, is this a question about?
No, I was just going to say the results.
The results are in, so let's.
I can't share them. Sorry, we can't share them on screen at the moment.
Okay, so I can
There's some
talk
technical
through them.
glitch.
Yeah.
Kind of agree with that. Only half the picture kind of limits it and kind of themselves on the image and both standards, even digital twins and asset management thing. I think I've got something along the lines of built environment, information management network would kind of wrap around the whole thing. But I think just including BIM or something along the lines, it's just limiting what it actually is now.
Thank you. Alice, for the last word, and then I'm going to talk through what we've come back to, what we've said collectively.
Just mindful of the rotation to learn and still in the and all the other pointers. I think academic is a really difficult and yet word, but yet it's a word that we need to really respect. Because a lot of the times, I mean, we've fought for years to maintain the academic pathway, and I think it's important that academics sticks. I don't think academic is the right word, but we certainly need to give that flavour. Because at the moment, a lot of the challenges that we're having is that none of the DFEs seem to understand that construction can be professional. We're all like, oh, you work with the bricklayers. Well, yeah, actually, yeah, we do, because modern methods are going to go that way anyway. So I just want to be mindful around the academic. I don't know if academic is right, but we certainly need to be pushing towards academic progress.
Thank you. Right, we've got some results. So, interestingly, well, we've got some clear-cut results. So we're not going with BIM Academic Forum, and we're definitely going to be interested in what you come up with in the next question, which is what would you call it? So we have got, it looks like we're either going to name it the BIM Academic Forum. Doesn't look like IMI Academic Forum might stick, but let's go to the next question, which is, well, what would your suggestion be then? And see if we can get some common words coming out of that. So I'm just going to check, can you see that next question? No? You can? Okay, brilliant. You can, because I think it's going to develop a word cloud, I'm imagining, so it's just going to pick up on those more popular words anyway, I think. Just want to make sure our people online, you're able to vote as well. Everybody's able to vote. Yeah, good. So when we've got academic highlighted, Paul, does that mean that that's a standout word, or does it mean that's... yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. We'll give it a couple more minutes, so don't feel the pressure. So where we've got digital build, so we've had quite a few put forwards for digital built environment academic forum then, yeah. I think it's dangerous having so many academics in a room generally. Can we just have a thumbs up online if you've finished typing, if you've done everything, if you put forward your comments? I can see, yeah, thanks, David. Thank you, Rachel. Mohammed, Noha. Noha saying she can't see her response online. Paul, Noha said she couldn't see her response online. So shall we have a chat around what we can see on screen? So as Paul mentioned, the words that are highlighted are those that have had more than one vote. And is it the bright green ones that have had the most votes? So we're in there for environment and academic. And then we've got the Digital Built Environment Academic Forum as an identity seems to have been put forward by a few people. Does anybody have any initial observations on the output of that? Yes, We need 2 mics, don't we?
It's all right, I can talk loudly,
Okay,
or are we talking to people who aren't here?
well,
Look, Tim Roy from UCL. If you think you were old when you transitioned from industry to university,
Yeah.
try it at 58. To my mind, academic is a real put-off in industry, or can be. I think we're much more about education than academic. I mean, that seems to be what we're trying to do.
okay. And so going back to Alison's point earlier, just about the sort of retention of a term that is maybe indicative, is education, would you see education as a suitable alternative? Do you have any comments, Alison?
I kind of look around at what other groups there are, because I'm in about 5 groups with education in the title, and I think again you start to be, you know, not another one. So I think, you know, that and I put up is academic inclusive, because if we look at the work that we're doing at the moment, where we've got a technical level, where it's a little bit hybrid now, where technical is at university and technical is also in colleges, and technical education full stop is trying to get a rebirth. So I think we've just got to be really, really careful, to your point, with academic, but we'd also got to be focused on because again, I mean, Jason, looking at you, you know, academia's had a really bad rap, universities are getting a bad rap with young people at the moment.
Yeah.
So that inclusive approach to education without being the same as everyone else, because I believe that this forum, genuinely, having gone on so many other forums and being like, this is just a talking shop. This forum I've always believed in. It might have had its ups and downs, but I've always believed in, because everybody is absolutely on the same page. But I do think that we are in danger of becoming another one for education. So I'm resistant to education, probably, but also that inclusivity as more and more of the FE colleges are aligning with universities to deliver more MMC type qualifications and so on. So I just think it needs thinking about, and I don't want to say that this has got to go on for weeks, but I think whenever we call ourselves and throw a hat in the ring for being more involved for a start, because I love this for it, but we do have to be really careful. I think that word is more dangerous than digital or BIM, actually.
Okay. Okay. Adonis?
Yeah, I think I see a lot of tendency to go to information management. I think this is very risky, because there is information management anywhere in medicine. So you need to relate it to the
You need a context.
So there, yeah, you might find people like, you know, from medical science, so that's by mistake thinking that it's relevant. So apart from what I said about construction forward, I would go with building information management, building environment, something that is
Something.
that shows who we are, not the general.
I'll come to you, Paul, in a moment. But I just can we just think about the word building, and just think, does that cover everything? Does that cover infrastructure? No.
I think that's taking us back to the BIM.
Yeah. So maybe we think about where the built environment sticks for us. What's that? Paul.
Yeah, I was thinking, just ruminating on what Adonis said earlier, and maybe rather than try and have a title that includes all these words that we need to cover, maybe we do look at something that is just essentially just a badge, in the same way that NEMA did. NEMA sort of settled on NEMA because we don't have to keep reinventing what it means. We can, our mission statement tells people what we do, and our mission statement doesn't have to be encapsulated within 3 or 4 words. So maybe something like BE 4.0 is a way forward, where it's then attached to a mission statement to tell people what it's about, and can be, you know, can explain its inclusivity, rather than trying to sort of encapsulate everybody, within those words.
Yep.
But I think run the same route through 4.0, 5.0, 6.0. I think digital built environment is what we're all about, and that encompasses whatever digital is. So 10 years ago, it was BIM, visualization. Today, it's obviously AI, analytics, digital twins.
Okay.
It's something like a modern built environment. I mean, go with that. Thanks.
I certainly think built environment, whatever we want to.
We have to get
basically.
those environments in there. Brilliant. Okay, that's progress.
PEP,
Pardon?
the PEP forum, the P stands for pedagogy. So it's all about how you're going to teach people.
I'm just thinking about that there. I'm just imagining the massive tombs of documentation identified as bad. just to compare it with what happens in the industry around that.
True.
Yeah, I think it's just the level of consciousness currently in the job market. Lots of jobs are advertised as BIM technician, BIM coordinator,
Yeah.
and the poshest one at the moment is information manager, and the highest paid one, principal information manager, 120, 130 plus. So yeah, information management should be there, but I think built environment is very inclusive.
Okay.
The word academic education.
So I think we're moving towards having built environment in there, possibly digital. How do we differentiate ourselves from a digital built environment for health and safety, or cost management, or cybersecurity? How do we, or do we need to? So there's a question of, do we need to differentiate ourselves as being focused on education and skills and training? Yes.
Just wondering, following on from you, Paul, is making it more encompassing beyond digital. Something along thinking about the flourishing systems report and what we're trying to aim for. Why are we doing all this? And ultimately, what we're trying to do is create a flourishing human environment, human natural environment. So I wonder if we go beyond digital towards what's the main outcome of what we're trying to achieve through digital transformation. So something like a flourishing built environment, something along, rather than just focusing purely on digital.
Okay.
What
So
we're trying to, why are we doing it,
more of an optimistic, future gazing, positive.
and what we're trying to achieve.
Would anybody like to come back on that?
I've got something slightly different. Does that not push the scope a bit too broad? So,
But that, yes, but on the other hand, it doesn't box it to industry for digital. It's just going back to one of the things we talked about is why are we doing this? Alice mentioned it. Why are we doing it? And actually, if we can get in the title something that trades,
Okay.
not what we're doing, but why we're doing it.
Okay. If anybody's got any thoughts about that, I'm going to come to Mark unless anybody wants to sort of respond to that point. Somebody online, right. Let me see. Zulfika, right. How do we do the sound on this to get questions coming through?
So you'll be able to answer. Unless you want to type it in.
Can you type your question in the chat if you haven't done already? Right, okay, Built Environment Innovation Forum. Built Environment Innovation Forum has come. Hi.
Yeah.
We can hear you, but only very
everyone.
slightly.
Yeah, can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much and for putting this together. And I've been listening to all the discussions going on. And I think we have to agree that build information modeling, it's business as usual, at least in the UK. We shouldn't be too worried about if it's still relevant or people are still grappling with it in other parts of the world. We are UK focused, and I think we should look at what works best for us. So I think dropping the BIM, it's going to be it's more or less, it should be taken for granted because it's business as usual. But okay. I think if we adopt information management, we're going to fall into the same trap. Because in the next 5-10 years, information management will not be novel anymore. This is my gut feeling. The same with BIM is business as usual. Information management will just become another business as usual. So why don't we look for neutral words, maybe like things that have to do with innovation or, something that is future-proof, more or less. So we don't have to start changing names every 5-6 years.
Okay.
So
thank you very much. I'll put that to the room here. So thinking about longevity Positive for dropping the reference to BIM, but also positive for having something that's fairly neutral, so not having the information management badge as well. Thinking about how we create a name that's going to live with us for quite some time, well beyond when Alison and I have retired. I think it feels like we've got built environment in there. I'm just wondering if we should park this discussion. We've not got an answer, but I wonder if we should park it for now, because what we'll do at the end is look at, well, how are we going to add value? What do we want our outputs to be? And that might just help us frame what the name becomes. So we've got built environment in it, we're dropping BIM, we're not having information management. We need to think about something possibly that speaks to the group of people that we represent. Yeah.
So coming back to something that Tim and Alison said, whether we're education or academic, is a more appropriate word, learning? Because we're all learning ourselves, and is this a learning environment for us? We can lobby or do whatever we do. So rather than trying to be an academic forum or education forum, trying to differentiate itself is learning the right word.
Anybody got any response to that? Yes.
Not necessarily a response, but not but are we, I suppose I'm thinking, what is it we're actually talking about as a subject? What's the scope of the subject that sits at the top of all this? Because is it information management? Is it something wider than that? Does it go into other physical systems? Or do we define what our prime subject is and the scope of that? Therefore, that will give us some, I mean, is it the environment? But it's sort of not, is it? It is, but that's a different subject. So that's the thing with information management. It's an overlay to everything, isn't it? In the built environment. So how do we get that across? How do we explain that? And then we've got the other bits.
If we went back to the mission statement, that was clearly framed around information management, because that's where we are now. And I think there was a really good point made by Ben at the very when the discussion was about, you know, where is this going with AI and twinning and all of that. And fundamentally, we've got to have some elements of management for our information if we're going to get all of these things out. So I think the mission statement was grounded in information management, but it's for us to think about. That's for today. How do we make sure that we are sort of future-proof to an extent? I'm going to take the last comment from Alison, and then we'll move on to some more questions.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Sarah. I feel like I've been really vocal, but I didn't want everybody. I think, you know, back to Mark's point of learning and you know, it's maximum value. If I go on the website, I'm a teacher at a school, I'm going to go on the website, PSIC, whatever we are called. What do you do for me? I've got the thing around teachers are not getting enough time to learn all this stuff. What do you do for me? So I think, you know, what is the core service? I think where we are different, we can be different to every other single education forum, is the lobbying piece, because the government will still look to universities for the answer to a lot of this stuff that we've got over the line. The lobbying piece, I think, for me, has never been more critical. It's something we've never done.
So can I just ask, are you talking about the lobbying as in an activity?
No, I'm talking about lobbying as in making sure as a environment. Yeah, and I'm kind of thinking that if we really, really focus on all the people that we wish to serve, what are we doing for them? Then the name will come anyway. I just have a concern that this can't be another talking shop, and I know none of us want that. I absolutely believe that, but I do think if we concentrate on if somebody comes to us and wants support, what are we doing for them? What is the service that we're going to provide over everybody else, where you don't sit in a meeting and just go, "You've seen this for 10 years, you've seen this for 20 years." So I do think that focus on maximum value really, really, really important.
So, just having Mark's comment in mind, is it about speaking to knowledge and skills? Is it about having that as a stronger identity in our name? It's competencies, isn't it? Yeah. We get competence in the name. Are we a forum for something?
We're back to BIM for, or
Well,
whatever four groups, whatever
no,
they're called.
yeah.
Yeah.
So a comment there about making sure that we've got him is in the outputs, and I think that is as an indicator that we should sort of move on and get to those questions which are about our outputs. Actually, questions right at the very end, so we need to crack on, so that we can think about to what extent can we get that reflected in the name? Do we even need to get that reflected in the name? We have to move on. We've got built environment. We've got definitely not information management, definitely not BIM. Maybe digital, but is that in itself sort of tying us up a little bit? Innovation. Okay, is somebody making, I mean, we've got these slides, but I don't know if anybody else is making notes about where the discussion is going. It would be really helpful. Okay. So as a body, we're thinking about how we come together, how often we come together, where we come together. And we've got an idea that maybe we would meet 3 times a year. There's a reference there to working in line with semesters. I'm not quite sure myself how that works with colleges and schools and so on. But we've got an idea of maybe convening 3 times a year, with dates set of January, April and September. We've got thoughts about, well, if we do that, are these meetings all the same size, or do we have some variation on the size? I'm going to come back to that question about students towards the end, actually. So I think we're going to have a couple of questions on the Slido again now. So the first one is around, are you generally supportive of meeting 3 times a year? So you might think that that's too many. We can get everything that we need to get done in fewer, 2 or 1, or you might think that actually 3, let's see how we go on with 3. So if we can just have a vote around that would be great. I think given that it's a yes, no, Paul, if you can just read out where we get to with the votes instead of us, there's nothing to stop us having more. We just thought trying to get it embedded, maybe 3 would be a good sort of starting point. But I think that other than the name that's got to stick for a little while, other things are a little bit more fluid. So we might find that we have a year of meeting a couple of times and it's not enough. So we don't necessarily have to fix these things in stone. It's just what are we going to do most immediately?
4% yes, generally supportive.
Okay, there are a lot more than there are more than 26 of us, but I don't know that we're going to get more than that. The increased number is going to change from the yes broadly supportive. Anybody still voting? Okay, so I think that we are saying that initially, to use that word so that we don't feel too constrained about this, we are going to run based on 3 times per year. So the next question then is, how do we manage those 3 events, or what sort of size are those 3 events? Do we have one quite big one, which is where we try and maximize people coming together, and we have full days and etc., and have a couple of smaller ones, or are they all the similar size? We'll talk about format in a minute, but broadly, how do you feel about having either 3 equal sized events, 1 big, 2 small, 2 big, 1 small? We can have that question, and I think Paul will just have a readout on the results again. But we will be able to publish these results with everybody, won't we? Yeah. Yeah.
So far,
Okay.
74% saying 1 large, 2 small.
Okay. That feels fairly conclusive as well at the moment, but we'll just give it a minute. Ben, what are your thoughts?
I just wanted to say that as technology providers, we have a problem in letting you all know what we have available. One event, so it might be an additional event, or one of those might be a day in which Autodesk and Bentley and Trimble and any other technology provider who provides free offerings to education can come and show you what we've got, because we can't do this on an individual basis to every university. It's just not economically viable for us to do that.
Yeah.
But if we had one day when we come and present to a lot of educational institutions, then we would do that, I'm sure. I mean, we did. We had a brief chat about this, but you know, I'm sure that we could do something. And it's, in a way, obviously there is the digital education event as well in, I don't remember what it is, towards the end of each year, but that's not built environment.
Yeah. Okay.
So it would be good, I think, to maybe think about that.
To me, that sounds like a really good idea, and it also sounds like it might be a good draw to get more people involved as well. Yeah.
You could tie it into like a technology showcase, could be half a day of the conference or something.
Yeah.
Or it could be that if we get suitable facilities, it could be that the meeting of this group is one stream of that day.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Kelly, yeah.
Because saying that would be great, but can that one be early enough one that we can factor that into the start?
So that would be a January, possibly a January 2nd. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's hold the thought about having the one big technology day. I was sort of thinking, as you were talking, Ben, if we were going to have three, maybe one might be themed around technology, one might be themed around people and culture, one might be themed around process or something like, I don't know. I think that's probably a comment that has triggered quite a lot of thoughts in many people. So Paul, where are we then? Are we so where did we end up with the previous one? Sorry. One large and two small. Okay. Okay. So the next question then is, where do we meet? Do we try to? We need to move around the UK. We can't always be in one place. It's not good for. It's not good for the place who's hosting, but it's also not good for all of us. We've all got to travel, so let's try and make it at least a little bit more equal and move around a little bit. So I think there's a question on, do we move around the UK and target those major regions? So we have one in the north, one in the middle, and one south, or do we just have smaller and go for the smaller regions and look a little bit long term and think, right, well, over the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to make sure we're here. It's a case of thinking about what do you feel is most easiest, but also what do you think is going to get the most people engaged? Yes.
I think to start with, we're actually reinvigorating the thing. To move to a regional model straight away, I think you can get the numbers.
You won't get the numbers. Okay.
So I think, in this group, there are people who hopefully want, towards the end, we can just try and identify people to take things forward. If there's enough people want to join or be part of it, I think those regional ones will probably morph out of it.
Evolve out.
Oh, okay, right, sorry.
No, so it is about just how we physically, and there is actually a question around hybrid as well, so that is going to follow, but it's how we physically move around.
Yeah, sorry.
That's what it is. But so I think the next question on Slido is, do you think, yes, we can just stick with those three, sort of split up the country into three major regions, or do we try and have a program of where we're going to be a little bit of a look ahead, so we can think, okay, well, we're in Salford today, but the next time we meet, we're going to be in Bristol.
I think if you do it just at smaller regions, like just you mentioned, also at bigger regions, 3 events a year, more than enough. And then you can gauge what you call annually, the level of engagement, what generates out of it. And then you see in which regions you need probably to expand more. You might need to expand for example, in the middle.
That's a different question. We're not, I think the planning of break it down into smaller regions, we're not talking about splitting and having multiple.
No, it's just one event.
We're talking about one event.
Yeah.
We're just say, right, there's always one in the north, one in the middle, one in the south, or do we have a rolling program where we are on tour over the next 10 years and we're going to hit every city? So it's
region based, yeah. That's
How many votes have we got coming through? Yes.
100% consensus.
Oh, 100, right. Everybody's saying we go with the big regions. Yes.
I suppose one thing I suppose is I come from a smaller region, which is generally behind the rest of the country. And is that not those types of regions? Is that not what the issue we've got is the cities and everything, and everyone comes together to exchange and bring things forward. But the regions are underrepresented and lagging behind. So how do we kind of, I suppose, get a bit more equality to move information forward?
In those.
A lot of it comes out of transport, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Easy to get to.
Yes.
Well.
You were far up on Devon, weren't you? Or what?
Oh, I quite fancy Cornwall. We might get quite a lot of votes for Cornwall, I think.
Or is it a different solution?
Well, I think that it sounds like the vast majority, if not all, are saying initially, let's go for the major regions, but let's just be mindful that sometimes we have to take ourselves to other places, don't we, to get that engagement. The next question actually is about whether you think we should go, we should have hybrid events. And
just before you move on, do we think that top question, do we think that we can rely on universities? Will we have enough universities that will themselves forward and say we'll host it? Is anybody?
We have in the past.
We've done quite a few recently.
But I think we should be looking at education college, FE colleges and schools host as well.
Yeah.
I think it should rely on universities.
What we tend to do as well in the past, if you remember, is as we tour around the universities, first session's always university, gives an overview of what they're doing and maybe a tour of their facilities as well. If there's any interest, say here any GLs or something like that. It gives a bit of showcasing. So even if we're going to small regions or FEs, actually getting them understanding what they're doing.
Yeah, I think we get more benefit from going to FEs and schools rather than universities.
I was just thinking actually about, we talked about that we need to get more university engagement with, and the same thought was sort of occurring to me. If we can get outside of the universities and get to the colleges, then maybe there are things that we can do alongside having this event that exposes what we're talking about to other learners. Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody's aware that the CTECs at the moment are kind of the hubs for everyone for FE.
What was that?
CTEC, the Construction Technical Education. Oh God, it's Technical Excellence Centre. Google.
I'll Google it, but yeah.
Google it, yeah. But either way, I know this. We're working very closely with 4 of them. The 10 have been announced now across the country. So again, you regionalise it automatically by where is the heart of FE. Some of the FEs, such as down in the southwest of England, are also looking after secondary and primary schools. So the Plymouth CTEC is governing all the schools as well. Knowing that Salford University are working hand in hand with the CTEC in the northwest, there's going to be an energy house there, so Will's looking after that. It's a really good conversation going there, and it's the biggest one. The northwest CTEC, I think, looks 38 FE colleges.
Right.
So again, I think aligning with the CTEC directors of construction would be a great alliance. So we can introduce them all.
Can we take that away then as an action to understand if hosting?
If I could also say as well, Mark moment because I think there's another option. Half works for sort of council, sort of, or public sector. Is there something around having, you know, reaching out beyond the boundaries of academia and say, okay, is there a council hosting of something like this at a more broader level that covers schools, colleges, universities within a region? Is that something we want to explore, or do we stay within?
There's the LTIPs.
You look at the combined authorities as well.
Yeah.
The combined authorities have like an education plan, so like I think it's called Laura or something like Lara in the Liverpool Combined Authority, and it's just waiting approval by the government. That one, but that's linking all the colleges, but it's more on a retrofit scale that they're working at.
Can we take away an action to look into other options then, in the knowledge that if we can't get something sorted for the next forum, then the likelihood is we'll get a university but that we really need to get more visible.
Maybe it's based on the theme. If there's a particular theme on one of our events, if it's around schools or around FE, but that dictates where it's held.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So
yeah,
we're having 3 a year.
Yeah.
We've got the opportunity to drop one in a university,
We-
one in a CTEC, and drop one in a.
Have the next question though is around whether what our view is around hybrid or in person. So there are a number of options for the next question. It's do we always offer a hybrid engagement activity? We have decided that we're going to have one large event, so is that the one that we make in person? And do we make the smaller events online only, or what do we do? So I've given, there are 4 options there. That's maybe not exhausting all options, but it's just to get an idea of what your feel is. Because I think that to an extent might influence might influence where we are and sort of what we do at the events. Well, I'm gonna leave it to you to read out the answers again. Are you also keeping an eye on the teams? Because I can't see teams on here. Let's see if we get some more votes. I'm not quite sure how many people are in the room. Definitely more than 25. I think we've got 6 or 7 online. So I had a question 7, which was around hosting of events. So we will skip that one because we've had that discussion. Have we got, where are we now?
Majority response is always online.
Right. Okay. Well, we're going to offer a hybrid then for all events. That's what we'll do. So the next question, I don't think I've done anything about overseas franchises at this point in time. Well, yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think if you could feedback on that, that'd be brilliant. And if anybody has got colleagues working outside of the UK and would like to sort of start having the conversation around what we're doing here and whether there's something similar happening in their regions, that would be really great if you can feed back to us. What structure do we adopt I don't think I've asked a question. I have, right. I have asked a question around what structure do we adopt. So today we're meeting very traditionally. Quite a few of you are sitting at the back, which is a normal experience, isn't it? Do we stick with this format, or just thinking about what Ben said around having more perhaps an event themed around technology? Do we start to have sort of exhibition type space, or themed activities, or round tables, or do we have discussion in the morning and perhaps more exploratory activities in the afternoon? All of those sorts of things we want to get your feedback on, although I'm just looking at the question that I've asked and it's maybe a little bit more restrictive than I indicate. So the questions are, do we all meet in one room with sort of presentation arrangements such as we're having today? Do we have more round table discussion type events? Do we offer multiple tracks running simultaneously? So we might have one room that's discussing one thing, another room that's focusing on something else, or do we try and do a combination of those things depending on what theme it is, whether it's our big large conference or our two small conferences? I'm not sure whether we're going to get a conclusive answer to this, but it's yeah. This is one of those questions where you really need the answer to all the other questions before you formulate the question, but there we go. Probably the conclusive answer will be a combination of all of these. Yeah. Shall we skip that one then? Because in the interest of time, I was really panicking about how I was going to fill the time, and now I'm panicking about how I'm going to finish it in time. The next question is, so we'll come back on I think a proposal for how the days might work, the big day and then the two smaller days, thinking about the idea of having technology all in one place at one time. And that will also deal with the other questions on that slide, I think. One question that isn't here, but is something that we do need to think about, is how do we, to what extent, this is about people who are teaching, but our bigger audience by far is those people that we are bringing along on the journey, our students. So how do we get our students involved? Do we get our students involved? Do we have a day that is dedicated to students? Do we just invite them along so that they can see everything that we're talking about? It'd be really good to get your reflections on how we engage with students. So do we want to dedicate an event, maybe the big one, I don't know, or maybe one of the smaller ones that is aimed at students? So you might think, no, we don't want to do that at all, or you might think yes, but we need an additional event to do that. We need a separate event. Or you might think, yes, we can do it, but somehow within the 3 events that we run. So again, it's not going to be, it's just to give us a feel. If you can think, do we want this to be open to students, and if so, how? Just as a starting point, that would be really helpful. I think this is one of the things that could actually be the theme of the next meeting.
I'm just thinking, so for me, having a student on the steering group would be really good, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
They need to sort of be the voice of.
That's student rep. Student rep.
I think, are we starting to get any answers coming through to that question yet? It's a difficult one. Is it?
2 yeses. Yes, in addition to those. Yes, we wouldn't need.
Okay, but the answer is the answer coming out is yes. So that.
Observation is that heard earlier that there will be student members of NEMA.
Yes.
Then it would occur to me that they would probably have a student group, and perhaps the chair of that comes on to.
That's a really good observation. Thank you. So I think yes, Paul.
Association of Engineering Doctorates, a lot of doctorate students. They used to have a meeting with the steering group, and then they would come together in a plenary session at the end of the afternoon.
Yeah.
they would feed back in. The students, the doctoral students would hear what is in the main group, and the main group then hear what students discuss.
Yeah. Jason.
For me, I think we want the student group to feel part of the bigger
The
forum.
part of the
and
whole
make a
thing,
contribution
not
to it.
just a,
So
yeah.
During a meeting, they could have their own separate agenda and then feedback. But
Okay.
I think integrating them, making them feel part of the
Okay.
forum would.
Yeah, in fact, a lot of our customers are people who are looking for high quality
Yeah.
employees.
Yeah.
And so again, there may be, it would have to come out of this group and out of a student group. But if they were interested in that, I'm sure again that Emily and Tedesco and ourselves could help to facilitate something that, something a Royal or a Kia or whatever.
Okay.
So can
yeah.
can I add to that? But I think that student group is also important for us because they have a voice of how they want to learn.
They do.
And that needs to come out of this.
Yeah.
Not just why we're doing technology and technology. It's about what the students want and how the students want to learn that we can learn from.
Yeah.
And also how we embed. We'll talk about what we think, how we embed IM and digital into disciplinary programs, but what's their ideas, what's their thoughts?
Yeah.
What do they think they need to know?
So I think we have got the conclusive answer that yes, we want students to be not involved, but part of, and that is across the board, not necessarily a special thing that is about students. But what we do need to think about is how we structure sessions, how we get the student engagement, and also I think working alongside NEMA with their student ambassadors is a really good idea. So we have got an answer to that one. We need to think about it a little bit more. Is that a hand up? Sorry. Did you have your hand up there? Are you going to?
Well, I'm the coordinator for the ambassadors, and the ambassadors are students who have been through the data course and then are going to both. Now they've also ambassadors to the data program, and I think something like that they would something they can also get in on as well. And I think with it being like this, they would students would appreciate being in rooms with them, like you guys. So having a separate one for them is great, but networking, it's taking that opportunity away from them. So
Yeah, I think it's Riz is a good point because it's all right saying we're going to have a student council, but actually maybe the best sort of opinions occur just after they've graduated and they've gone into the workforce, and they can retrospectively say, I wish I'd known this before I got here, and therefore maybe it's student and graduate.
It's a little bit like learner drivers, isn't it?
Yeah. It's maybe we need a student and graduates.
Early graduates. Yeah.
Often students, it's one thing to be involved, but to get to those forums, they're not on a salary, they're looking for jobs, etc. So I do wonder if our partners could maybe put up some kind of little bursary to cover travel.
So I can be honest. I can say that look at the amount of money organisation invests in things like building smart international.
I get that.
In things like so
students don't be looking because you can't afford to be here.
I absolutely understand that, but there are limits to the amount that we can give.
I get that.
And we do. I have a constant argument just to do the bits and pieces that we already do.
And I completely appreciate that. And please don't take this the wrong way. But a golf day versus a student being here and having a voice, and I know I'm not pointing that at you, but I know there's lots of corporate events where they'll spend money on champagne, get people to nice places, and we're still the same age. I talked to Paul last year, we were at the NEMA conference, and we felt this, we had students there, everybody disappeared when it was a student time, we had probably a few in the room. I think all the time we just overlook, and this is what I said to Paul at the time of NEMA, please get students in the room at the same time. But often it's like join online. They never get to be in here.
Maybe that's something that we can take back to NEMA to see, because sponsoring a group of students might be challenging, but sponsoring maybe lots of companies maybe sponsoring individual students to come. I don't know, that might be an option.
An easy solution, perhaps,
Yeah,
that needs exploring is wherever this is touring, obviously that's the focus,
Yeah.
it's search for
Yeah.
someone from
Yeah.
that, it makes it contextualised to the region.
yeah,
The whole point of, whatever this develops to be going at, and another thing to add on, we do have like internships as well, so
okay.
perhaps like sometimes that's a wide one to break into one that's on summer internship. Or even not even just promote this from someone in the industry, that's part of their experiences as a 3-month internship is to be part of these things. So I don't know if that fits into the academic year happen, but I'm sure I also ask wherever that person is, they'd be happy to participate and bring
Okay, thank
because
you.
obviously they would be
Yeah.
very good students.
I just thought of students that just outside of colleges and universities. How many students do you think want to come to these events? Because we had a couple recently. We had the Rick's president. We managed to get him to come to a chat, and we were trying to invigorate him with students, and it was going to be then informal. It was teas and coffees put on. We opened it out to every student across the university. We had 40.
Yeah.
So, you know, we have a core students that they become bus reps, they become student ambassadors, they regularly attend. We might have 10 across our entire environment department. So we struggle to even get students to attend class, never mind travel to events. So I get that incentives to get them to travel, and some will, and some can't, and cost is that. Genuinely don't see it initially to get with very many students. They might want to sign up, but they won't attend.
Look, if you've got 10 from every unit, then then that's far more than we're talking about.
But I mean, from a travel point of view.
Yeah, no, but like I said,
Yeah,
as
if
you were saying, it's localised.
Yeah, so you know, if we could have hubs or central hubs,
Yeah.
or, you know, you might get a bit more, but I don't think until it grows and gains momentum, we can see some value in it. I don't know how many students know it.
I think you're right. We don't know how many students. We know that getting students to engage with activities it feels a lot harder than it maybe was a little while ago. Yeah, well, I think we've arrived at a decision around, let's see how we can get students to engage. It is going to be one of those activities that I suspect is going to take a little bit of time to bed in, and I suspect that we might go down one path and end up moving away. But I think let's take the discussion back to NEMA and see if there are any ways that we can get people that are affiliated with NEMA perhaps looking at some support. Maybe if we're the next location is a specific college or a certain university, then we can open it up. I don't know. It's difficult. Something that we haven't got yet. Can I just go to Mohammed because he had his hand?
No, it's okay. I think I'll go back to what Mark mentioned
Yeah.
earlier about including students. I think we can just pick that one with progressively.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be,
It doesn't need to be perfect.
No, just progressively.
Yeah.
And yes, you will have a lot of buying in from postgraduate researchers, postgraduate students, because of the job market. But undergrads, T levels, we just need to progressively monitor it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it depends on where we host it. So if we host it, let's say, in hypothetically speaking, at UCB, University College Birmingham, West Midlands, you'll see, within the university, the students in that university, how many attend, what's the buying in, feedback, and then on that one we can gauge. But it need to be.
I think also, so it depends when you're old enough as well.
Yeah. Fiona, we're going to move on from this one.
Yeah, just not probably straight away, but maybe partnering up with other events. So like you talk about your bringing you in and publicising. It was like the Northwest Digital Construction event. So they're all around the country, various expos, and that if there's the right one going, you can partner up with it, as in the expos there, and then Forum goes with it. And a lot of these expos, I'm not too sure about school children. There's a digital one called Brilliant, which is aimed at education, sort of school sub level. But FEs, I mean, I'm going back a long time, and the FEs don't have much money, but I would go to students. So, you know, they might get some contributions to various things. So, I mean, it's not going to happen straight away, but that might be taking quite a lot of boxes. It's regional. Yeah, IT, you know, the digital investment in their, you know, companies. It's maybe getting students there, and also it's maybe putting down on cost. This group having an event as well. Okay, that's a really good idea. I think I just heard a voice online. I don't know if that was somebody wanting to ask a question. Okay. So I think really good ideas there. As we said, we don't have to make this perfect straight away. So I think let's explore. And this leaves us on to the next question, because as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, blimey, we've got a lot of work to do. And so the next question is around being actively involved. So there are a few areas where we really need to get people actively involved. One is around chairing and co-chairing. We're super fortunate to have had Jason chairing for such a long time, and we're thinking about having a sort of a rotational process on a chair where we have a chair and we have a vice chair, and then that vice chair becomes the chair the next time. So there's learning and the development of experience and so on. So there is a question around if you would like to be considered as a chair or a vice chair. And there's also a question around if you would like to be considered as a conference coordinator. Now, I don't know, Paul, is this your first conference that you have
organised to this extent? Yes.
And I know that you were, I think you've done a sterling job, so I think you've done an absolute sterling job.
My thoughts here were that we actually have somebody that's we look to a professional or a retainer for this one.
Oh right, because I was thinking that maybe the organisation, maybe it's not just a one-person job.
No, I think there's definitely a steering. A lot of the work would be on the steering group.
Yeah.
But I think if there's somebody who's there sort of longer term, going from chair to chair.
Yeah.
And actually, you know, sort of make sure that everything gets done logistically.
Right. So there are three questions that I've asked you to consider, and you can answer to all three. So this is not just you've only got one choice. So the first one is, would you like to be considered for a chair or a vice chair? The second one is, at some point, would you like to be considered as a conference coordinator? Forget the word conference coordinator. In your minds, swap that out for engaged in a steering. And then the third question is around, would you like to be involved in leading and participating in the development of research topics? If you can just very quickly, just if you don't want to do any of those things, that's absolutely fine. But if you do, if you feel that you really want to be very actively involved, please do take a moment just to answer that question. We won't talk about results. We'll take those away. And then we have got two more questions. We'll go back to the name again, and then we are done. You can answer all three. So don't feel you've got to choose. If there are a few things there that you would get excited about, you're optimistic for, then please do select them. Tell me when you think we can move on, Paul. Just whilst that's happening, if you just read the screen, because it's all related to the question around, you know, how you want to, the extent to which you want to get involved.
Just also, whilst you're thinking about that, if we're looking at this rolling chair, so if that's the case, and we're saying 3 conferences in a year, the chair gets the opportunity to influence the theme, those 3 conferences through that calendar year, and therefore we keep it fresh, we keep new ideas coming through, we keep it moving. And with all that in mind, if we're going to be announcing a new chair for 2027, then we need to be getting one in place before September. So I think we'd probably be inviting people to put their name in the ring and say, I would like to be considered chair the next year, and this is my reasons why. This is the themes I'd like to present. Really sell your case if you're up for the chair role. So if people are doing that, thinking that, then please give us a shout.
We've got a reasonable number of responses now. Okay. Will the questions remain open once we've done? Okay. You could, yeah. Okay. Right. The last two questions are, and I'm hoping that this might just help us reframe the identity. Maybe not sure we're going to get to an answer on the identity, but I'm hoping that it's triggering the thought process. There's a question really around what are your ideas for in what ways that we can add the most impact. Obviously we've mentioned the words talking shop a few times, and we've always preceded them with we are not, which is helpful, but we've got to think about how do we get that impact visible outside of us. So there's a question there. If you can answer that first question, it's just a free text question, which is, what do you think? What are the ways in which we can have the most impact? And in that question, then you might be thinking about, well, we want to publish various bits. So we want to contribute to competency framework. So that might be something that we get engaged with. We want to make sure that we've got that closer alignment between all of us and between the people that come to us to develop their education and skills and knowledge. Can we get that one on screen? Because that's going to be a word cloud, isn't it? Okay. Okay. Well, I think those are we'll publish those amongst the group. Yeah.
Policies, lobbying,
yeah.
I think this is it's a good checklist.
Yeah. So when we draw conclusions from this session, which we'll publish presumably, what we can do is we can order the outcome from that response so that we can see the things that maybe got the most, that were common amongst us. Is there anything coming through there that might be relevant to our name? That's a tricky question for you, Paul.
Interesting. Could be something also that overlaps with what NEMA does as well. So
okay.
Not necessarily national and international recognition. These concepts come in.
Right. So, okay.
Research was a third.
Okay. Have we got many responses? Okay. Yeah. We're maybe dwindling as we need our lunch as well. So we'll go on to the last question, which again is a free text one. How are we going to know that we're being successful? So how are we going to measure our success? It might be that that we are successful in our lobbying. It might be that we do get good engagement with students. It might be that we're able to publish a certain number of outputs. I don't know. It might be that we spark some imagination from people. It might be that we had a really good event, great event where we've got various technology providers and we can see some impact from having that. I don't know. Put your ideas forward. How do we measure our success? Can we have a readout of some of the responses that are coming out? Oh, brilliant.
Attendance at events and measure of success.
Yeah.
Things like assurance of capability and competence, meaningful outcomes from events, measurable claims, outcomes, adoption of ideas, etc. by FWG centres, subject classification system, kind of learning application, accreditation, recognition, and engagement.
Okay.
Good list of ideas to
To go away with. Okay, so I'm going to bring us back. We're going to finish in a minute, but I'm going to bring us back to where we started, which was around our identity. So we decided on built environment. What do we want to do with this debate? Do we want to take it away and ponder it? No, because we'll never get an answer. Do we want to have a little, is there time for a little light session at the end of the day to say where have we got to on the name?
Yeah. Maybe if people want to discuss it further.
Okay, right. So can I task you with one thing coming out of this? Can you put your thoughts around that identity with a view to perhaps vocalising them at the end of the day? It's going to have built environment in it. We said no to BIM, we've said no to information management. I think we're a little bit unsteady around the word academic and whether we really need it. We are thinking, or do we need educational skills or competence or something else? We need to think carefully about the reference to digital. Does that actually, even though everybody's talking digital today, does that limit us for the future? Could we have something that is perhaps more optimistic, more future proofed? I think Jason, you referred to flourishing. So thank you so much. I've really, having been super nervous about doing this, I've really enjoyed doing it. Thank you so much for engaging and putting your ideas forward. I hope that you felt that you've been listened to. I know sometimes I can go off thinking about something when people are talking to me, so I hope I haven't done that. And yeah, we'll take all of the inputs, we'll get them written up, we'll have a good discussion, hopefully towards the end of the day, about your ideas for what the identity could be. So I think it's lunch now, is it?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank
you, sir. That brilliant session. Really useful. So we'll break now till 1:45. That's all right for everyone. Lunch is directly outside, and we'll reconvene at 1:45 for the next session, the afternoon session of looking